All right, y'all. We are live, not live. We are recording Biscuits and SEC extra because we can't fit it all into our once a week live show that we go way over an hour on anyway. So we're coming to y'all with some extra biscuits. Tonight we have a dear friend of ours, Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. Y'all see him with us on SEC After Dark every week, and of course on his own Locked On Vandy channel. He is all over the place. He's been doing it for a couple of years now. So if there's an
3 years,
expert,
this will be the third football season.
Third season. So
Yeah.
this guy knows Vanderbilt like the back of his hand. We are pumped to have him on. He also, if you are a NFL fan, just picked up the Locked On Falcons hit. So he'll be pumping out content for the Falcons there. Tell everybody where to find you, Corey.
Yeah, so you can find me in a bunch of different places. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms, at Locked On _ or a Locked On Falcons _ hit, and then on X Falcons _ hit. And then you can also find my personal Coach Burton 36 on X. And like I said, you can find me all over the place. You can find my clips and everything. Atlanta Falcons content is short. It's all short form. Vandy, it's all long form podcast. So I cover a lot of bases.
That you do, and we are thankful to have you on here tonight. Let's get right into it. Obviously, we're talking the Commodores this year. We're talking a little bit pre-show, and we just did our SEC After Dark show, so we've been hanging out for over an hour already. So we'll get right into it. What are the vibes going into the year? You go 10-2 last year, but it's a lot of new with all the guys that are gone. Of course, Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers, to name a few of the highlights. But you were talking pre-show that the roster feels like it's in a really good place. So, yeah, let us know what the vibes are in Nashville heading into 26.
I'll tell you this, man. Everybody's kind of cautiously optimistic. They don't know how to act because this is uncharted territory for Vanderbilt because you go 10-2, you go 7-6 the year before. Like you're on a bit of an upswing here. Obviously, Diego Pavia had a huge part in that, but then you get another boost by getting Jared Curtis, and there's been quite the quarterback battle, which I think Jared Curtis will ultimately win. But the vibes are great because you look around this roster and there's talent across the board. There's a legit 2 deep at every position, and that's not always been the case at Vanderbilt. Like I was telling you, Hammer, it's always been like if you get one injury at a certain position, that position is totally screwed. That's not the case anymore. Like safety, there's 9 safeties that could play, that could legitimately step in and play. There's 6 corners that could legitimately step in and play. And defensive line is probably the thinnest position, but you do have some players there. Offensive line, you did really well in the portal. I think you got a potential all-conference center, potential all-conference. They go quick and strong tackles. They flip the tackles. It's a unique philosophy. So their quick tackle came from the offensive line factory that is known as North Dakota State, who is making their FBS debut this season. He comes over from North Dakota State. Bo Johnson. Cade McConnell is the lone returning starter, but there's a lot of experience coming in on the offensive line, but McConnell is the only one that started at Vanderbilt. The running backs, you got the tandem of Cedric Alexander and MK Young coming back. That's going to be a lot of fun. Junior Sherrill leading a wide receiving group that's very talented, but you just don't know who's going to be the guy that emerges opposite of Sherrill. We think it's Ja'Cory Thomas. That seems to be the leader in the clubhouse for that second reliable target. And then it's just a bunch of guys fighting for time there, but they're all talented. It's just, you just don't know. And Cole Spence and Javante Connor is going to be kind of the tight end tandem that's going to try to replicate what Eli Stowers did by himself. I think they can replicate that. A lot of 12 personnel. So, I mean, the vibes are good. I mean, people are feeling good about the program. I think season tickets are sold out. Everything, there's a lot of buzz about Vanderbilt around Nashville. It's never been that way. I mean, there's still their fair share of Tennessee and Alabama fans, but you're starting to see more black and gold floating around Nashville now than you used to.
Love it. Well, hey, that's great to hear. I mean, because especially you start hearing about the national media talking about him or not talking about him because they're thinking, oh, maybe Vandy's going to revert back to the mean after the Diego Pavia era. So I'm glad to hear the Vandy fans are excited.
It's a lazy take,
Yeah.
Like they didn't look. They just say, okay, Diego Pavia's gone.
Vandy bad.
Yeah, Vandy bad. And I mean, the SEC is tough, and their schedule's not easy, and they go to the 9 game, and they very well could. It's possible in this league, but I mean, any team in this league could probably tumble at any point, given how competitive this league is. But Vanderbilt again has a competitive roster now, and that's the biggest key that people aren't seeing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So you've given us a lot already here on the roster, which has been great. My question for you now is, look, I think with Diego Pavia gone, Eli Stowers, some of those pieces that have left, there are definitely question marks for those who don't cover Vandy or who are not, in the day-to-day. So I know that for you cover this every single day. So you know this roster like the back of your hand. What do you have for the Commodores as the biggest question mark that they've got going into this season?
Like position-wise?
Either way, take it broad or go position. Yeah, just what your biggest overall question?
I mean, just finding the true identity of this offense, I think, is probably the biggest question mark. I mean, we know it's going to be probably a more run-oriented offense, but to what degree, that's going to be the biggest question mark because you're getting a new quarterback, so you don't really know what you're going to get, week to week. But with Diego Pavia, you knew your identity and you knew how it was going to evolve. With Blaise Berlowitz or Jared Curtis, depending on who they officially name as the starter, you like to think they're going to be a vertically aggressive running team. And that's where I kind of tend to stick. But with the unknowns at wide receiver, and a lot of that's due to the quarterback, and a couple of question marks on the offensive line on the strong side where you have a strong tackle battle that's kind of going back and forth and a strong guard battle that I think is leaning one way, but it had been going back and forth for a while. Those question marks, I think, are probably the thing that people are looking at the most. Like, what is this offense going to look like moving forward? And that's just, it's a big curiosity point for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm curious about. You brought it up there as a question mark, is kind of what is the offensive identity going to be, especially, without some of the pieces that you lost. So I'm curious to think, obviously Tim Beck is still around. So the system, the scheme is the same, but different personnel a little bit. I'm really curious, overall what your expectations for the offense are, and then a little more specific. What do you think about Jared Curtis? I mean, what are the early returns you're hearing in camp for the 5-star freshman who, has all the talent in the world, but is still, a true freshman?
Right. Okay. So I'll start with Jared Curtis because I think that's going to lead me into what the expectations are for the offense. So for Jared Curtis, the early returns on him is that he makes a ton of throws, those wow throws. It makes you get up out of your seat. It makes you double take. Like one of those, like you can hear him throw from 50 yards away, like that kind of thing. And obviously he's making some freshman mistakes and he's kind of trying to learn and get command of the offense. And there's some mistake. The reason why he hasn't taken the job over yet is because his talent and his command haven't gotten close enough to each other. And he's starting to get more comfortable, which I think that there's a scrimmage coming up this Saturday that's going to determine a lot with that. And if he can just get comfortable making the reads, not having to knock down a 100-mile-an-hour fastball every throw in every situation, understanding when to take some off the ball, when to throw it with velocity and all that. So the early returns are he's making some mistakes. Obviously, he's learning, but the talent and the arm strength and all that is undeniable. Like you watch him and he just jumps off the page. Like you watch him throw, you watch him operate, and you're like, that is the guy. And then every once in a while he makes some throws where you're like, well, what is that? Like, and that kind of is holding him back a little bit, but the talent's just undeniable. Now, your question about the expectations for the offense. The great thing about Tim Beck is this. It's never the same. It's similar, but it's never the same because he's probably one of the more adaptable coordinators in the country. He's gonna take the talent. He's going to figure out what they can do, and then just do that. Because in 24, he was an option team. Vanderbilt was an option football team with some RPO and some vertical shots. Like, that's what they were. That's who Diego Pavia was. That's who Vanderbilt was. In 25, they were a top 10 overall offense. They were top 10 in every category on offense. They were tempo. They were slinging the ball around, RPOs, QB runs. Like, they were doing a little bit of everything because Diego Pavia evolved. Now he's probably going to figure out, okay, we can run the ball, and they're starting to run the ball in practice too. So we can run the ball. We're going to lean on that. We're going to lean on play action. We're going to lean in 12 personnel. So you're probably going to see a lot of that, a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap stuff that they did in 24, more so than they didn't do as much pre-snap stuff that they did in 24 and 25, but they're going to start to kind of play some games with you, give you some different looks and things like that. So this offense, I think they're going to take shots downfield. That's what they want to do, especially if Jared Curtis ends up being the quarterback, which I think he will. They're going to play action. They're going to bomb it down the field, and they're going to be, like I said, vertically aggressive, power running team, and they're gonna hammer it with Cedric Alexander and MK Young. That's going to be their expectations. They're not going to be a top 10 offense, but they're going to be competitive.
That's what I'm excited to see. I've been telling people that, and saying it on our show as well on Wednesdays. It's like, I'm now excited to see what does this look like in the post-Pavia era. Like, how does Tim Beck fit his offense, with the pieces they have? Because it's going to be different, especially with Jared Curtis. Very different skill set, obviously all the talent in the world. But I'm fascinated to see that. Let's move now to the defense here. And look, I looked into Vandy. I've done some research, but to tell you the truth, I really don't know what to expect on the defense for Vandy. So walk me through the defense. Walk me through your expectations for the Doors on the defensive side of the ball this season.
Yeah, Vandy was so good against the run. They were top half SEC team against the run. They were stingy. They were good against the pass, and on third down, they were horrific. They were 110th, I think, on third down. They were like in the 70s, I believe, if my rankings. They were near. I focused on the SEC rankings. I didn't focus on the national rankings, but they were dead last in third down in the SEC. They were 15th in pass defense in all pass categories. They were no better than 14 against the pass. So what did they do? Well, they went and they healed Miles Capers, which is good. He's ready to roll. He's a beast. They went out and got the guy who was wreaking havoc against them in the bowl game from Iowa's roster, Brian Allen Jr. He was unblockable in the spring, and he's going to be relatively unblockable. They got those two guys to play on the edges. They healed Issa on the defensive line, so he's coming back. He's going to be a force. Glenn Seabrooks is going to be a force. Brian Longwell in the linebacking court. Front seven is going to be nasty, and they've been nasty all camp long. Vanderbilt's offense can't run, and Vanderbilt's got a good run offense. They cannot run on Vandy's defense. Vandy's defense is going to be – they might be top 5 against the run this year. I mean, they are good. They fly around. They got athletic linebackers. They're downhill. They can play against the run. Now, dead last just about in all passing categories. I think if you averaged it, they were 15th in the conference in overall pass game. They went out and got the ACC interception leader, Ricardo Jones from Clemson. He was all conference, led the ACC in picks. They went and got him. They told Martell Height, don't worry about offense anymore. They got Jordan Matthews from Tennessee a year ago. He got some playing time developed. He's there. CJ Hurd, I think he's had a little bit of a renaissance. He had some really, really bad moments last year. He had a really, like, that Texas game for CJ Hurd was pretty bad, was really bad, actually. Probably one of his worst. And had he played just a decent game, I think Vandy would have had a chance to win that. But he's back. I think they're going to put him in a position where he's closer to the line of scrimmage, which is going to be good for him. He's good tackling against the run. He's was a bit of a liability in pass coverage deep last year. Carson Lawrence, they signed for McCauley. They've developed him through the system. He's going to be good. You've got Caden Daniels again. They recruited him. developed him. He probably might even be the best corner on the roster. So they're way more athletic than they've ever been in the backfield. So that's something. Now they haven't played together. That's kind of the concern, but overall, athletically, they should be able to fly around, make some plays in coverage. They should be able to do a variety of things. You got Steve Gregory, who's in his second full season of play calling. So that'll be good. And it's going to be just all around. It should be a much cleaner operation from the secondary on down to the defensive front. So the expectation is I'm looking for total defense to be in or around the halfway mark in the conference. Is kind of what I'm looking for. Like if they're in that 8 to 12 range, I think that'll be about right for the defense. Just total defense. I think they'll be better in the run than against the pass this year again.
All right, man. Well, you're getting me pretty pumped up for Vandy this season, which is great because, as you said, kind of the lazy take is, well, Pavia's gone. They're going to revert back to being Vandy. So we're setting the record straight here, and I appreciate you doing that for us. You've named a ton of players. That's super helpful for me and hopefully our viewers out there to keep an eye out.
Notebooks and get out your roster.
Right.
They've changed numbers like 12 times, so I couldn't tell you what numbers they are. But
we'll figure that out week one. Yeah. But if you got to hone in on, give me one on offense and one on defense that you are most excited to see burst onto the scene this fall for Vandy.
Junior Sherrill on offense. I think he's going to have a monster year. And defense, Ricardo Jones. He's one I'm very excited about.
Awesome.
One of my hot takes is he's going to lead the conference in picks. Yeah, he's going to run it back. Do it again.
Fantastic. That's a good bold take.
Yeah, so Junior Sherrill on the outside is going to blow up on offense, and then Ricardo Jones lead the SEC in interceptions. Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, let's move towards the schedule here. Before we go deep into that, I just want to hear, like, from your perspective, what is a successful season here for Vandy in 2026? We've gone through a lot here. You've hyped us up here on Vandy, showing that, hey, this is not the old Vandy, and that just because Pavia is gone does not mean this team is going to be bad or 4-8 or 6-6 or any of that. Don't expect that. So in your mind, what is a successful season then here for Vandy in 26?
I think success is defined, and I think in the SEC you have to define success in a range, in a ceiling floor type of range. Mm-hmm. I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you say 9-3. That's success, right? Because like you can go 8-4, it can be a good season. Like 8-4 in some circumstances can be successful, but if you set that bar and like, hey, 9-3, right? And you're set. So if you got a range of like, okay, well, if they hit this as their floor and they hit this as their ceiling, anywhere in between, we'll consider it a success. Obviously, you always want more. Like that's just natural. Like if you say 9-3 and you go 9-3, you're always going to want to go 10-2 because there's going to be that one game where you're like, man, if we'd have done 1, 2, 3 right, we're 10-2, right? So I think the floor for Vanderbilt is 6-6. And I think if you hit the floor, I think if worst case scenario, you hit the floor and you go 6-6, I think that's a successful season for Vanderbilt coming off of the Diego Pavia era. I think your ceiling, your roof is 9-3. I think your ceiling is 8-4. I think your basement is 5-7. But if you go anywhere, if you go floor to ceiling, you're good. If you go to roof, you're ecstatic. And if you launch in the hot air balloon and go 10-2, you're in outer space. You're in cloud 9, right? So I think 8-4, get a good bowl game, get a good matchup. Like don't draw like a G6, early December bowl. I feel like that would be simultaneously successful and just disappointing because you're like, we got such a terrible matchup. Like I saw one projection, it was like the Gator Bowl against Clemson. Like I would be ecstatic with that matchup. Like that would be an incredible matchup. Like I liked the matchup with Iowa in the ReliaQuest Bowl. I thought that was a good matchup. And Iowa, they came out hungry. Vanderbilt couldn't mount much against the pass. Gronowski had an incredible game, but Like if you go 8-4, I think that's kind of where I'm leaning towards 8-4. I think you win your middle three, and I think you go 1-2 in your first three and last three. And I think that's, and then you obviously win your first three. You win your non-con, and then you go 1-2, 3-0, 1-2. I think that's a success because you go 1-2 in a gauntlet of Auburn, Georgia, and Ole Miss, you're successful, right?
You're talking about all the schedule. I had to pull it up for you so we can visualize. 3-0, 1-2.
Please don't hurt me. Please don't.
That's the new Commodore logo right there for all you out there. Clark Lee.
Let that man in the playoff.
How did he let you take his picture in that? I mean, he was actually wearing that at practice the other day. So that's cool that you got that shot.
Yeah, this is a real photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Not AI. Correct.
No. Clark. Yeah, that's 100% Clark Lee. Shirt's painted, jacket's painted on. But so you go 1-2 in the Auburn, Georgia, Ole Miss gauntlet. You have to go 3-0 against Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. You have to go 3-0 there. Mm-hmm. Kentucky's in their first year. You got to take advantage of that. Arkansas, they're just a mess. It's going to be a couple of years. And Ryan Silverfield may not even be the coach on the return trip. Then you got Bama, Florida, Tennessee. That's a really tough gauntlet there. You go 1-2 in that. Like I think you can get one. I'm saying Tennessee at home because there's a good chance Tennessee's schedules is hard enough to where they're just kind of down when they get to that game. So that's the projected game there. I think a bonus if you go 2-1 in that last stretch. I think Florida's possible depending on what their quarterback situation is like. I think Georgia and Ole Miss, it will take I think it'll take a ton to win that game, to win either of those two games. I think at home you could maybe, if Ole Miss falls asleep, you could maybe take them out. But Ole Miss is strong. Trinidad is best quarterback in the conference, obviously. Your best shot at going 1-2 in that gauntlet is Auburn because you're getting them week 4. Yeah. And if you get Auburn in week 11, probably a different story, but you're getting Auburn in week 4. So I like that. And you're coming off NC State. You'll have a lot of momentum there. It's on the road. I don't love that, but I think that's a winnable game there.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, my next question was kind of going to be, what are you looking at as like the hinge game? And it sounds like it's week 4 at Auburn, where if you can get that start 4-0, you kind of chalk up the next 2 as losses, and then hopefully can get into the back half of your SEC slate, 4-2, feeling pretty good with a couple winnable games there to get not only to a bowl, but get over that 6.5 win total, which, it sounds like you're believing you're on the over. So, and like you said, that Tennessee game, I mean, Vandy took, B to A, as the kids are saying these days.
BTA took him to the woodshed, whatever you want to call it. Like Commodore Clark Lee he didn't even do it. He just stared at him. He had this stare. This is actually from, like, you could, if you look closely, that's Neyland Stadium.
That's right.
He stared across the field and they just wilted.
Yeah. Vol Navy just completely folded.
All he said was surrender, and they sure did.
No, he didn't even say that, boss man. He said he just looked at him. He's like, what?
I like it. So it sounds like you're feeling a over 6.5, 7-5, 8-4 vibe with
feeling an over vibe.
The ceiling roof being a little better, of course, but
you like it. You can use that later if you want. The ceiling roof,
MJ, I love it.
Ceiling is the roof.
Yeah. All right, Corey. Well, we got one question for everybody, for all guests who come on here. You may know it, you may be aware of it, but we're Biscuits SEC. Mm-hmm. We love Southern culture, Southern food, and SEC football. And you may have also heard this. We're the #1 podcast, according to Time Magazine, for people who love biscuits and SEC football. So there you go. Podcast is growing. Time Magazine is very excited about what we're doing. So we want to hear your favorite biscuit spot. It could be in your hometown, could be Nashville, or even maybe it's a recipe. Maybe you got an old family recipe or something you like. So floor is yours.
I wish I had a family recipe for that, but no, the answer, the only right answer from where I live is the Loveless Cafe.
Mm.
You go a batch and they give you biscuits with no matter what you order, they give you a batch. They give you a half dozen biscuits. They give you peach jam, blackberry jam, and strawberry jam. It's the only answer. It's just the melt in your mouth biscuit. The jelly just kind of it just becomes part of the biscuit, and it's so good. Loveless Cafe. It's 5 minutes from my house, actually. It's a Nashville icon. So if you're ever up here in Nashville, it's a Nashville icon. The Loveless Cafe used to be a motel, and it's so good. They have great barbecue. They have great Southern cooking. It's all it's Southern comfort food with amazing. Like they have their own. Like they bought up some of the property around them, and they're about to open up a separate place that sells only biscuits.
Oh, I gotta
they get it.
I've heard of this place, but I have not been there. But I'm
so
very interested.
If you're in that next time you're coming through Nashville, Loveless Cafe is the spot to go. Blackberry jam is the best, and also I had a student. Well, they weren't. The people who created the jam weren't my students, but my student created the label that's going to go on the jar. It's
cool.
Get this flavor of jam. So you got a nice whatever biscuit of choice, whatever your biscuit of choice is. You got, just imagine this. I'm trying to wrap my head around this because it's not a flavor combination I would have ever guessed would work, but it kind of does. Pineapple, mango, jalapeno.
That does not sound like something I would try, but if you're giving the recommendation, I'm in. I mean, I've had like mango habanero wings.
It's not out yet. They haven't put it out on shelves yet. They're still making it. They're still in the process of like making sure they've got the recipe rock solid. But it'll be on the shelves at some point.
Okay. They're doing science.
Yeah, our culinary classes, they had a competition. They had a jam competition. In their jams. So this is the one that won.
Okay.
Loveless voted on it too. So
that's fantastic.
It was Loveless.
Right.
The Loveless Cafe. I love it. So thank you for the rec. I need to get down there now and try this new
the biscuits.
Jam.
Sometimes I order takeout just so I can get the biscuits.
That's perfect.
Speaking our language.
Yeah, that's our type of place. You get it with every meal.
A bonus answer. It's a chain, obviously, but Jim and Nick's, the cheese biscuits.
Ooh,
good.
Okay.
All right. Jim and Nick's.
I've written them down. I got them committed to memory.
The cheese biscuits are unbelievable.
I love it. Well, Corey has given us amazing biscuit recommendations as well as a full rundown on Vanderbilt. So if you didn't know, now you know. The Commodores are back in action and are going to have a good season. So thanks for joining us. Yeah, I was pull that
there
up, Corey.
There we go.
Sure everybody can find you.
Heck yeah.
We've got your graphic, so everybody can see that. Locked On Vandy everywhere. At Falcons Hit everywhere as well, across all different types of social. The guy's everywhere. He's all over the place. Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy, Locked On Falcons Hit, your number one source for all things Vandy. Man, thank you again for joining us. And I guess we will see you next Thursday night.
Guys, next Thursday night. Yeah. We're going to make some picks. Yeah.
Picks, baby. Picks.
We come together for SEC After Dark. So you'll see me there for sure.
Exactly. So thanks again. If you're interested in more Vandy content, Corey is the man, as well as the Falcons now with Locked On Hit. So with that, we are peacing out. Thanks for joining us, Corey. 2 minutes in stream.
In stream.